Ladies and gents, how are you doing? So we all know we're living in the post-truth era, but we're also living in the post-sanity era, because I'm going to show you a tweet now by Dom Jolly. And I want you to digest it and just try and put together a situation in your head where someone would type this out and send it in a public forum and think it was a good idea when it is in naked, glaring opposition to reality itself. Bravo, Susan Reid, for holding this charlatan to account. The tweet in question is in response to Good Morning Britain, who apparently challenged Nigel Farage over the accusation that he was irresponsible and dangerous for suggesting the police were withholding the truth about the Southport attack. Now, if you have eyeballs, ears, and a fully functioning brain, you are well aware that for the last 5 or 6 years, since the world went mad and the woke sociopaths took over everything, to tweet something like that out, thinking it made you look clever and astute, even as the mainstream media and the government still are hiding the details of the Southport attack. Oh yeah, and the Manchester Airport one, and dozens of other ones, really does suggest that Dom Jolly is either seriously mentally ill or living in an alternative reality. So I'll play you the clip. We'll talk about the naked, brazen, shameless bias of the apparent journalists. Oh yeah, and one of them's Ed Balls, who was in the Labour cabinet for years and is now trying to say that he's some sort of impartial broadcaster. I'll play you it and we'll talk about it. But to me, it's lunacy that these people will sit there and type something so preposterous and self-evidently wrong. It's not just wrong, it's a denial of the world around us. So, I'll play you the clip, we'll dissect it, and I'll rip the piss out of them, as usual. Easy, innit? Right then, so Dom Jolly thinks that the police and the government are definitely not withholding the truth about the Southport attack, even though they still haven't told us about the Southport attack. Brilliant, Dom, good effort, totally logical and rational. As for the clip, watch this, and just tell me which party you think was made to look foolish. Nigel Farage, or the two brain-dead, disingenuous political ideologues? Let me know which one you think comes off the worst. Even the way she phrases it. Oh yeah, and she got his name wrong. It's Tom Tug and Twat. Everybody knows that. But secondly, even the condescending way she phrases it, in a video, by the way, like these people are in cloud cuckoo land. This is still ongoing. They keep saying, oh, allegedly. The attacker happily conceded that he did it. There's no doubt that he did it. And to this day, they are covering up the incident. How's it been over a month and nobody knows why he did it or what the motivation was? They constantly hide behind lawfare. But if the guy looked like me and he said he was doing it for overtly racist, right-wing reasons, they'd be showing you my picture and happily telling you about why I did it and what my manifesto was, and they'd publish it all in explicit detail every day. They do it every time there's a shooting in the United States when it suits the political narrative, and then when it doesn't suit the political narrative, they hide behind lawfare and they say, oh, we can't tell you anything about this. Because it's the law, don't you know? But then Joe Cox takes both barrels to the face and they'll tell you about the guy non-stop 12 hours a day, every day, all the way up to the Brexit referendum. Weird how that works, isn't it? I already pinned my opinions to the mast because I'm not a lunatic, and I think it's blatantly obvious to anyone that reads the newspapers what ideology drove the Southport attacker. To this day, I still think it. It's the same when they keep talking about Trump refusing to accept the result of the election. Time hasn't proved him wrong, it's proved him right. It's October 2024, and I still think they cheated, and tens of millions of Republicans in the United States still think they cheated, and it's the same here. Time has elapsed, and nobody's now sitting here going, oh yeah, definitely didn't do it because he's a regular at Alan's wonderful snack bar. I definitely didn't do it for that reason. Nobody sat there saying that. It happened ages ago. They've told us nothing about it. They never like showing his picture because he looks a certain way, i.e. a little bit swarthy, yeah? He's not a pasty ginger from Aberdeen, funny old thing, because they almost never are. And the person who cut Emily Jones's throat wasn't a pasty ginger from Aberdeen. And the person who blew up the Manchester Evening News Arena wasn't a pasty ginger from Aberdeen. It's almost like time is proving us right, the naysayers. that whenever there's a horrific incident and the person that did it isn't a pasty, blue-eyed white man, the government doesn't like to talk about it very much. Anyway, I'll save the rant till after the video. Let's watch this, and where apparently Nigel Farage totally gets owned by the very, very decent, softly spoken, thoroughly impartial journalist. Yeah, cheers.
We always hide behind that.
I can't interrupt the video. Let him talk. You invite him on for an interview, you're just spewing verbal diarrhea out onto the airwaves because you're trying to make him look like a knobhead. But when it's this blatantly, shamelessly obvious, you're about as subtle as a boot in the bollocks, Susan. It's unbelievable. Why are you lecturing him about the law? Are you here to ask him questions, or are you like an angry school mom? In fact, that's the problem, isn't it, in the UK? All the people in positions of power are like stern school mom. They want to tell you what you're allowed to do, where you're allowed to go, whether or not you're allowed to go for a walk, or they'll send a drone out after you, what you can drink, where you can smoke, what you have to wear, anything dangerous, you're not allowed to do it. Freedom be damned. The whole nation is ran like Mrs. Trunchbull is running the British government. These people are unbelievable. And they think he looks bad. 59 seconds in, Dom Jolly watched that and concluded that it makes Farage look bad and that it proves indisputably that the British government definitely doesn't have an agenda and definitely isn't lying to us about horrific attacks and incidents. Oh, unbelievable. As I said, the bloke's got a head full of fresh air. The bloke's not just stupid. Dom Jolly, I mean, he's living in a fantasy land that is the exact opposite of the truth. An idiot can be misinformed, but these people are living in a fantasy reality that they're creating their own on to come and educate us. Listen, I'm not going to put you through any more of it. Let's get rid of that. I'm not going to subject you to any more of it. If you want to watch the whole 4 minutes and 30 seconds, you can do. I'll put a link in the description. But let's just make a few salient points, shall we? First of all, the government are covering things up and hiding from us. It's obvious. They massively amplify crimes, sometimes trivial ones. If there's a mugging or a burglary, but the bloke doing it is a smackhead who looks like me, they'll make that headline news for 2 days. But when Aldo Collarcane is the guy who we mentioned, who doesn't look like me and butchered a load of innocent people in Nottingham, they try to keep it as quiet as possible. It happens every time. What about the Manchester airport incident? Have you forgotten about that? They hope you've forgotten about it, because this is the game they play. But I'm assuming you haven't, because you're not an imbecile with the memory retention of someone like Ed Balls, pinching his chubby flanks, thinking he's looking clever, asking stupid, ignorant gotcha questions on his pointless TV show that nobody watches. Because the public know it's nonsense, it's propaganda masquerading as a talk show. Anyway, you do remember the airport incident, right? 3 held after police attacked at Manchester Airport. And look, here's a picture of a white guy. And the 3 people who did it, let's not talk about them. We'll talk about the police using a taser. And we'll talk about someone being released on bail. And we'll talk about the police being under investigation and the 4 men. But we won't show you any pictures and we won't tell you any names because they're not called Alan Smith or Duncan Jones. As usual, they're all named after the epileptic illiterate midget. You know, the one who plagiarised the Bible. And it's not just this, it's every time. So there's Aldo, there's the airport assaults. What else is a good example? Oh yeah, well let's do Southport itself, shall we? Southport stabbings, what we know about the attack, by Hasfa Khalil. First things first, here's a picture. Look, loads of white people. 3 young girls have been killed. We'll tell you their names, but we'll just say that we detained a male. Oh, okay, nice one. Then we'll tell you the kids' names again, and then we'll show you a picture of 3 little white kids. How nice. And then we'll write long, pointless paragraphs about children's hospitals and geography. And then we'll show you a map of where Southport is in the UK because that's mega relevant and everybody needs to know exactly where it is geographically. Yeah, vital information that. Then we'll talk about dance and yoga for a little bit and exactly how many children were attending the dance and yoga class. What do we know about the suspect? Oh, here we go. This is going to be good. I'm sure they're going to give us a picture and a name and oh, what's this? Oh, it was a boy. And he's from Lancashire. He's definitely from Lancashire. And he's originally from Cardiff, they added. And that's it. And no more about him. And we'll talk about lovely people and nice cars and hatchbacks. And there's some more witnesses and they all look, you know, pleasant middle class white people. And then tons of filler. Oh yeah, look, Joel, he's doing all right. And, you know, more witnesses and a bit of Taylor Swift. And there's a picture of a load of white people in suits. And endless drivel, the King and Keir Starmer. And then, oh my God, it's horrific. The people are attacking the police. Brilliant. And that's the story. Done and dusted. Easy, that one, it. Easy. No pictures of the person that did it. No motivations for the person that did it. No name for the persons that did it. And they haven't told us about Aldo, and they haven't talked about the airport attackers who have unbelievably, I mean, if you go on Google now and just type in the words Manchester airport attacks, what do you get? Manchester airport assault. Utterly unjustifiable. Still no decision made 5 days ago. Still no decision made in Manchester airport assault 6 days ago. No excuse for beating up the police. August 7. Interesting updates on the Manchester airport incident. Are you seeing a pattern? They think this is a gotcha. Dom Jolly thinks he's being clever. It's obvious that they're covering this stuff up. They don't tell you about it. They brush it under the table, give it 6 months, and then they'll go, oh yeah, you know, Alan snapped by, yeah, cheers. That's what they do. It's obvious to anybody with a hole in their arse. And Dom thinks he's being clever. And Susan and Ed and Dom think Farage is the one who looked stupid in that interview. As I said, they're not just empty-headed. They're living in a fantasy land. If I had to go on like an emergency trip to the hospital in a taxi with a thrashing pregnant spouse or something, and I had to choose between a one-armed blind taxi driver or Ed Balls behind the wheel, I'd pick the one-armed blind guy because at least he is inhabiting reality. The likes of Ed Balls and Dom Jolly are fully in another dimension. They see what happens around them and they perceive it in a completely different way to everybody else with a human brain. So I don't know what that was. I don't know what he was thinking by tweeting it. I don't know what that interview was supposed to be. But we are where we are. You all know what's going on. There's hundreds of ways I can demonstrate, but I've showed you 3 good ones there. If you disagree, let me know in the comments so we can all point at you and laugh and put you in the balls category with all of the special people who live in a wibbly-wobbly world of their own. All right? All right. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. As usual, please like it and share it if you can be bothered, and let me know what you think in the comments. All right? Especially if you are a raving lunatic, because they're my favourite. Okay, see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Toodle pip. Cheers.